Hey everyone, welcome back to the Space Podcast. I'm your host, Max Young. On this show, we dive deep into thoughtful conversations with creative minds from across the industry, sharing insights, stories, and the spark behind their work. Our guest today is Alex Antolino. With his background as a creative director and brand advisor, he made an impact on brands such as Chillhop Music and Typeform. Fascinated by branding and content creation, he shares his knowledge live on stage, through popular videos online, and on his personal channel. Today, we'll talk about how he embarked on his content creation journey, the importance of building a personal brand, and things media companies do that you can duplicate when you approach content creation yourself.
If you spend a month making a cool video and goes viral, what guarantees do you have that you're gonna spend another month and make a video go viral again? If you can do that, that's great. Keep doing it because that is a process that you can sustain and potentially you can scale. But if you spend a month making a video go viral and you go viral and you spend another month and the video tanks and that happens again and you have no control over how the video will perform, I don't think that's good for the business because it creates a liability and puts too much pressure on the people creating that content, whether that's one person or an entire team.
Enjoy the chat. Hey Alex, thank you for joining me.
Hey Max, super excited to be here.
Can you quickly introduce yourself and explain to me what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Alex Antolino. I'm a creative director turned officially now a creator. And what I do is I've been working on branding and brand campaigns and running creative teams and stuff like that. And more recently, I've got obsessed over the last 3 years with a creator economy. I guess I'm officially now a YouTube creator. I'm starting my own business, which is going to be a YouTube channel. And that's what I'm doing. So there you go.
What is your journey like from the last couple of years? How did you become a creator yourself?
It's been crazy. I started making content out of my desire to share my knowledge with everyone on the internet. And so to do that, I started making posts on Instagram initially, and then more back to YouTube. I started making videos on my YouTube channel, which we've collaborated on. And I it's been a whole journey of literally trying to find my voice and what I wanted to talk about and how I wanted to talk about, and learning the craft of actually making online content engaging. That's the one thing that I'm most excited about. The reason why I like YouTube the most is because it's you just put a video out and you see what happens after that, and it's the audience that will tell you if the video works or not, and the algorithm will just distribute it if people actually want to watch the video, versus traditional media or traditional TV where middlemen had to buy your projects and so on. So my journey as a creator has been following that passion of actually validating if the way I do things is working for people and the audience, and progressively getting more and more into the craft and the production itself of the content, to a point where I decided to start my a new YouTube channel that has nothing to do with branding or anything like that, and fully focus on this, thinking of it as a media company more than just a YouTube channel.
But you already had experience in videography, right? Did it help to then kind of use that knowledge when it comes to creating content?
My background is on film, and I had a studio where we were doing online advertisement 10 years ago. But it's completely different from what I'm doing now. I think you can learn about filmmaking. You can learn about the skills on how to make good quality video. That is one thing. And creating engaging content is a completely different thing. And also having to learning how to make content that people want to watch, whether that's because it's engaging from the beginning, but also it's packaged in the right way. That's a completely different story. And I think that's the one that I've been most obsessed with for the last 2-3 years, understanding packaging, how to create a good thumbnail that people want to click on, how to create a compelling title, all these things that I still don't know how to do properly, but that I think are so fascinating. And one thing is to know how to put a camera, light a person on set and stuff like that, and then maybe tell a good story. Another very different is how to keep people engaged, how to keep people watching. Some the craft and the technical aspect of it, I know how to do it second nature to me, how to place the camera, create a nice composition, Like all these things I know how to do like second nature. What I'm still learning is how to create narratives that are engaging in the platforms that people are consuming their content today. And especially with the most popular formats like long form content and now short form content.
Do you think that personal branding plays a huge role in how you present yourself online?
Hell yeah. Like it's the role, like it's the thing that everyone should be thinking about these days. Personal branding is everything today for professionals like us, but also for brands. I think like traditional brands and like your average company has to think in terms of like what personal brand can do for their businesses, because people don't follow logos, they follow people. We all know that like most of the biggest companies on earth have a massive following online, but their CEOs and their founders have even bigger followings. And that's just because we want to follow people, we want to see people online. We care about brands and we love and we trust brands, but we're interested in the story of the people behind those brands or people endorsing those brands. So I think the best place, especially with the rise of video over the last 10 years on the online space, there's so much footage you can make about the store or a product or a logo, but the possibilities of content around people are infinite. And I think that's why it's just more engaging. People want to watch that. Companies want repeatable success and scale and systems. And if you're a creator, you don't necessarily need that at the beginning. I think if you're a creator and you don't have like specific business goals and you just want to create content for yourself and like maybe to share your stories with the world, your thoughts or your passions or ideas, I don't think you need to worry too much about the results or the impact or how it will work. It's just like you just make content that you want to make and keep improving, making it better. And that's it. You go on your merry way and hopefully you'll find success and you'll get a lot of views. And that's it. And if it takes a week for you to make a video, or it takes a month, I think that's okay as long as the content is good and you can sustain that process to provide that output that you want. At the end of the day, you're the main stakeholder of your content, which is your product. For brands, it's actually a bit different because for a brand to make organic content has to see a revenue at some point. So it's not a passion project anymore or a personal aspiration. It's a business initiative. And so for that to be able to be sustained in the future and within the organization, you need to provide certain evidence that this is bringing some sort of value to the business. And a lot of it, in my opinion, has to do with scale and systems. So can you show that there's certain growth associated to that initiative? Can you show that there's certain value? It doesn't necessarily have to mean sales, but can you actually show evidence that this has value for the business? And then what is the system that will enable the business to create that same level of content output, if not better, if you were not to work in this business anymore?
Do you have any idea how to create such a system? Because you said like that consistency is key when it comes to creating, but what are some things that people can do to actually like post consistently?
So long story short, I think for brands, the most important thing is learning and growth over specific success and metrics. Like if I'm running a business, I don't really care about hitting certain number of views or certain number of followers or subscribers, especially now, which like subscribers doesn't mean what they used to mean like 5 years ago. What really means is one, the number of views, and then like how loyal is your audience. If you actually have fans that they would really, that they're waiting for you to like post a new video. I think that's really the KPI that people should keep focused on. How repeatable is the process that you have right now and how scalable is that? And then make sure that your system allows you to create growth. And what I mean by that is if you spend a month making a cool video and goes viral, what guarantees do you have that you're going to spend another month and make a video go viral again? If you can do that, that's great. Keep doing it, because that is a process that you can sustain and potentially you can scale. But if you spend a month making a video go viral and you go viral and you spend another month and the video tanks and that happens again and you have no control over how the video will perform, I don't think that's good for the business, because it creates a liability and puts too much pressure on the people creating that content, whether that's one person or entire team. I think it's way smarter to think like a media company. A media company thinks in terms of programs and shows. And so what they do is like, okay, it's like almost gambling, but with more certainty. So they're like, okay, we're going to put these 5 shows on the roster and we're going to see how they do. The vampire show might do better than the true crime show, and the true crime show doesn't do as good as the sitcom. So you know what? We're going to stop the true crime show and we're going to do the vampires new season, but put like 1 0 more at the end on the budget. And then we're going to do the sitcom, just test with the like new cast and like a second season. This is what like a normal like Netflix company might maybe thinks about content. As a brand, you need to understand that your content is your product. You're just not charging for it. You're exchanging it for attention instead of dollars. So when it comes to the content, I think it's less for businesses. It's less thinking about what will go viral, but how can I secure that I learn from what's working on my roster and that I can optimize on that.
But yeah, I love this idea because I feel like you have more flexibility to try out things, opposed to having this feeling of being stuck in a box and like not knowing what to do. I can come up with these shows more easily than to come up with like original content. And I think that helps like immensely when it comes to just brainstorming consistently to post stuff.
Yeah, it gives companies like these constraints and these limits to create within, but also those same limits help identify if something's working, you'll know why, versus if you create like crazy stuff, just following trends or like your intuition, that's great for a creator because it's more like a personal thing. But for a company, you need to be able to learn. I think that learning is the most important thing for a business, even sometimes more important than results.
I was wondering, because you said that when it comes to KPI, the subscriber count is not the most important thing anymore. So what is it that you look for when measuring success and figuring out, okay, like, is it something that I want to that's working or not?
I think the way that the algorithms work and these platforms are set up is that if your content is good, meaning it gets a good click-through rate, people are clicking on the video, and then people are watching a good percentage of your video, the algorithm has no other choice than to get it to more eyeballs, right? And so that to me is a measure of success. I think a product has to be measured against the reason why it was created. Regardless of the topic of the video, the goal is to get the viewer to the end of the video. I mean, what's the point if they don't? So in my eyes, the way I think about it is views are just a reflection. The number of views are just a reflection of how good or engaging your video was. For the content, views are what really, it's like the easiest thing to measure the content. Because if the content's not good, it won't get views. Now, when you're getting those views, are those quality views or not? I think that's also important. Like, are these views, because we all know if you repost a viral video, you might get a lot of views, but what is that doing for your brand? So I think that is something to consider, is that, okay, once you're getting those views, are those quality views? And quality might be conversions, but might also be super interesting conversations that are happening on the content. I just think conversions are too often the only way where brands measure the success of the content, and I think that's a mistake.
Okay. Why do you think that's a mistake?
It's the same reason why, if you would only think in those terms, you would never do brand awareness campaigns. A successful brand awareness campaign doesn't necessarily mean that you need to convert right away. And I'll tell you why. Because how many times you've seen a brand or you've heard of a person, but you haven't not like necessarily talk with that person immediately that same day, or when immediately go buy that brand that same day. I think more times than others, like usually the journey of like from you like getting like learning about a brand or a person to you connecting with that brand or buying from that brand or connecting with that person, there's a gap of time. So, and there's like a few interactions within that time that then trigger you making a decision of like connecting with that person or buying from that brand. And I think expecting for someone to see a piece of content and immediately buying, just a bit naive. And so when brands only think about conversions as a KPI for the performance of organic content, I just think that's stupid. Like I think that makes no sense, because we don't do this as humans. And usually the big misconception is with paid ads, most people thought that, oh, because Google is giving me this attribution, like my ROI is X%, thought that that was like really effective, when in reality, most of these cases, that person saw your ad and clicked on it and bought because you were offering maybe a discount or like a good reason to buy. But that was not necessarily the first time that that person ever heard about that brand or ever saw that product in their life, right? So who is it, that ad that made that person buy? Maybe yes, that triggered the action, but maybe it was the compound sum of interactions that that person had with that brand from the first awareness moment till that purchase decision. That's why views at the end of the day, when it comes to organic content, are the most like useful metric I think you can look at. And then when you're getting those views, start reading the conversation, start going to like the not just the quantitative output, but the qualitative results that content is generating, and see what people say. It's probably like one of the best ways to learn about your brand, your product, to see those unfiltered comments, as opposed to organizing focus groups and organizing these like surveys that every agency and brand loves to do. Just post a video on TikTok, see what people feel, and you'll get the real answers.
Do you think that it makes then sense to kind of split up the content and primarily focus on one thing? For example, like create 10 organic posts that should be kind of more laid back and organic, and should be more centered towards creating awareness, and then try to afterwards to create one post specifically just to convert the views that you already gathered from before and try to kind of like sell a product or a service, opposed to try to get everything into like one post?
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think diversifying when it comes to the stage of the funnel or the reaction that you expect from your audience in terms of the content is smart within one channel. I think it also adds a layer of complexity maybe to your content strategy, that if you're still not getting views, I wouldn't worry about this for now. And I would just worry about making videos that get views. And then when you're doing this with different formats, you can start thinking about, oh, is this actually better for brand awareness? It's actually better for conversion. For example, if you're going to talk about your product or your services, that's probably going to be more like mid-funnel. But if you're going to talk about culture or things that are happening in the mainstream, that might be more useful to tap into a bigger audience that doesn't really know or care about your product yet. And that might be more brand awareness top of funnel, if that makes sense. That's when thinking in terms of like shows can be really useful. Because if you have 3-4 different shows that you're running within your content, and maybe one is more focused about the product and another one is more focused about the thought leadership of your brand, now you have 2 different shows that might be giving you different numbers. So maybe the thought leadership stuff goes more viral, and the other one, the other show that's more centered around the product, doesn't get as many views. But that might be a reason to not make these 2 shows compete against each other, because they're hitting different business goals. One is more exposing your brand to like new audiences, and the one that's going video, like that's getting the viral videos. And then the other type of content that's more about the product might not get that many videos, but might get people converting or become, or like maybe customers are watching that and becoming more loyal to the brand. So views are important when it comes to like seeing if content does good, but it's also not necessarily a metric I would swear by in terms of like deciding if certain type of content is useful for the brand or completely useless.
I think also that when you're creating these different shows, that it might help you to diversify the audience that you reach as well. Because, for example, I'm following some people on Instagram that are primarily kind of in the fashion industry and like create campaigns for that. But their content is totally different to their work. So as the service that they do, they create photos and video campaigns for these brands. But for example, on YouTube, when it comes to long form content, they post behind the scenes and tutorials. And I mean, the people that want their service are probably different people that watch the tutorials. So I think it also might help you to kind of use all the knowledge that you gained in, or like your experience in what makes you unique, and kind of build an audience in different ways. Once you kind of hit a specific view count, for example, on YouTube, when it comes to creating tutorials for, in this case, these fashion videos, brands might look at it and think that, or kind of think of you higher just because you kind of built an audience already. And I think community is really important when it comes to content creation and kind of building awareness for brands or for yourself.
I agree. I mean, you said it very well. Like, I don't think I have anything else to add. Like, different types of content will attract different people, and might generate different reactions that might be more top of funnel, more mid funnel, or whatever. So I do think diversifying is the way to go. And if you think in terms of like systems and like creating different shows, it's just an easier way for you to then look back and see, okay, this show is bringing me this number of views and it's generating this type of reaction, and then this other show is generating these other type of results.
You're doing content yourself for quite a bit now. What are some challenges that you faced?
So I think time management has been one of the biggest challenges I had to deal with. I'm really used to creating brands and building campaigns, and I know more or less what it takes to do those things. YouTube is a whole different thing if you've never done it like in personal terms before, because I know what it takes to write, like make a tutorial or I don't know, like a podcast or something like that. But if you're trying to like as an individual creator, find your voice and tone, create like develop your unique style, or just feel comfortable with the content you're putting out, you're trying to come up with something that doesn't necessarily have a blueprint. And I think that is really hard to anticipate in terms of how long will it take you, what will you have to do. And more than often, I struggle with thinking this video will be made next week and it's not. And that's been really challenging for me because I do a lot of stuff and I try to have my little buckets of time that I try to allocate at things. And I'm usually very successful. Like I know if I need to write a brief for a project, it'll take me maybe like a couple hours. I know if I need to create a deck for a keynote presentation, it will take me like 1 or 2 or 3 days. But with a YouTube video, because I don't have a blueprint as of now, it's different every time. And sometimes it's like smoothly and like it works. It's easy. Sometimes it's just painful and it never ends. And I think for me, that's been the biggest struggle. And then the ego part of putting it and getting like 80 views like that. I don't know if this is something you ever overcome, but like spending like days on something to get like 80 views, although those are like 80 people that if they were in a room, you'd be like, oh my God, thanks for coming. When you spend so much time on a video, like you get 80 views, you're like, you start questioning yourself, not yourself, because like at this stage, I don't question myself, but like you start questioning, is this worth it? Like, is the time that I'm putting, the energy that I'm putting, the people that are supporting me, is this worth this? Is this worth it for me, for all of us? And yeah, that's been my inner fight when it comes to like content creation.
Most of the time, our problem is like when kind of wanting to do something, but then procrastinating or thinking is it even worth it, is that we can kind of, as human beings, feel or anticipate a potential loss of something. In this case, for example, like if I spend like 2 weeks on a YouTube video and it might get only like 80 views, then maybe that's considered a loss because you kind of, I don't know, like it's not equal to your time that you put into it. So we can kind of anticipate potential, like potential loss, but we can't feel potential success. So the feeling, if a video doesn't go viral, I can already like, I understand what it's like even before I put in the work, but I don't know the feeling, or I can't feel how success could be like if a video goes viral, or if, I don't know, it converts or hit the goal that one set for it.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that. For me, it's more the time, like the time management aspect. Like if I want to get in shape, I need to allocate 1 hour a day, work out, and eat healthy, and it'll happen. With the YouTube thing, I don't even know how long like I could not tell you today how long it takes to make one of my videos. Sometimes it takes 5 hours, sometimes it takes 5 days. So that's for me the challenging part, where I still don't know or haven't found a formula that I know I can replicate with similar input to get a similar output. Right now, I get very inconsistent input and to get very inconsistent output. And that makes me nervous because I feel like I don't have that much control over the ratio effort impact. And that is the one thing that I'm struggling with when it comes to my channel specifically, this one. Well, my own personal channel.
You said that you switched from being a creative director to becoming a creative or creator. What was your reason for that, and how do you think your kind of work changed?
There's no reason for that. I just wanted to do it, and I'm in a position where I can afford to do it. That's it, really. Like, there's no reason. Like, I do believe that if you can build a successful career as a creator, like it's almost like an insurance. Like you have your personal brand that's gonna back you up, whatever you want to do, and like wherever you go. I want that for myself, but also I'm really passionate about like what I'm doing, and so I've been working a lot in corporate for like the last 10 years or even more to be in a position where I can afford to do this for a year and give it a go. And I've been playing with that idea in my head of this new channel that I'm gonna launch for like 2 years now. And my partner has been like, you gotta do it, like we've gotta do it. And so we're like, okay, I don't have kids. I can't afford, my risk tolerance is very high right now. So I can't afford to do that. And I would rather live a life of feeling satisfied with my decisions than a life of regrets and playing it safe. So that's why I'm doing this now. Although I think it's a massive risk financially, and I think on the long run it's worth it for my own personal life journey.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but I totally agree. I think that if someone can build a personal brand around themselves, it's kind of like an insurance. And also it takes time, as you said, like it's an investment in yourself, basically. You're betting on yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's it. It's terrifying for someone like me that like loves control over things. It's very terrifying to give that control to like an algorithm and like in a way expecting for things to work and like put a lot of time into things to work and money behind it. But in another sense, I'm like, what are my other options? Like, go back, yes, make way much more money in like corporate. I could do that. I can do that anytime, anyways. Like, I'm not like I can always go back to that, or maybe start an agency, or at the end of the all these things are like serving other people. Like, I've been building other people's projects my entire life, and it feels very empowering to like build my own project. Like, yeah, for once, like even if I was building an agency or like education, I would still be creating stuff for other people, even if it's my business. And so I don't know, it just feels good to be, this is like 100% what I want it to be. And like, if it fails, it's because of me. And if it works, it's because of me. And that feels really good. And also doing it on YouTube versus trying to sell a project on Netflix or Prime. Prime, Amazon. Um, so it's more empowering to do it on YouTube because like at the end of the day, you'll put the video out and you'll get the views or not get the views, period. You don't need to deal with other people getting on the way. Like that's literally how I feel. And I've seen too many good ideas not being developed successfully because of that. So not on my, like for me, but like, I just don't want to deal with that. I just want to deal with my product, which is my videos, and get the audience feedback to improve them. And that's it. And the end of the story. And like repeat that every week. And if I do this for like a year or two and I'm successful, let it be. And if I'm not, then okay, take an L and move on to the next thing.
Let's say there's somebody out there that also wants to create content. How can they start?
So if you're watching this and you're a creator or you're thinking about making content, I'm like, just try to make sure that what you're doing, you enjoy the process. Like the process on content creation is everything, because this is not a one shot. This is not like a sprint. This is like an ongoing thing that eventually you should incorporate in your life if that's what you want. So it's like working out. I would say take the same approach as if you're like working out. Like for me, I work out Monday to Friday, 1 hour a day. That's what I do. I don't even question it. I just go to a gym. Sometimes I'll go harder. Sometimes I'll take it more chill, but I just show up and do it. And occasionally I won't be able to attend, but that's fine, right? I don't think about how I want to feel in like exact how much I want to weight or like how much muscle I want to gain in like a month. I just don't do that right now. I just go and show up and like keep doing my best. I would approach content in the same way where like you just need to enjoy the time that you're making a content, because it doesn't really like, you will get some videos that will do really well and will be 1 out of 10s and like will go viral. But you will get the majority of the videos initially most likely are gonna suck. No one's gonna watch them. You're gonna get the 80 views or 300 on TikTok, and it's gonna suck. So the only thing that's really gonna keep you going is the time that you're actually spending making the content. Are you enjoying that time or not? For a brand, it's a different thing, but for a content creator, like that's, I think, what really matters. That you're able to incorporate that in your routine in weekly basis, and that you focus more on doing that than actually putting out the videos. By repeating the process, you'll get better at making videos. You'll find your own blueprint on how to make your videos, and you'll be able to have more control over the process. But I think if you don't do that, you only focus on like the output, you might get a lot of videos to do well, but eventually, if you're not enjoying the process, you don't feel comfortable with it, it's just not sustainable. So if you cannot sustain content creation, why did you get into it on the first place? I think it makes no sense. Are you gonna just make content for like 6 months or like a year and then stop? I mean, if that's your goal from the very beginning because you want to sell an online course, go do it. There's plenty of people doing that. But I just don't think that makes much sense. But again, this is just my personal opinion.
Do you like to share anything else, like, for example, an interesting project that you've going on?
Yes, I'm working on a YouTube channel that I'm going to launch in a few weeks. And it's a social games YouTube channel. I cannot talk about it too much yet because I'm like still figuring out, and we're recording the first shows. But this is really exciting for me. I'm putting like all my time and energy and focus into that. And it'll be interesting in 1 year from now to come back to this video and see where we are. Hit me up on Instagram And when that is out in a few weeks, you'll be the first to know.
That sounds super interesting and super exciting. Thank you so much for being the first guest here on the podcast.
Thank you, Max. This has been great. Dude, love everything that you do, and like super happy to be here and like be the first episode. That's an honor for me.
Where can people find and get in contact with you?
Yeah, well, so if you want to find me, I guess we'll post the links right here somewhere on the description, but at Antolino on Instagram and /Alex Antolino on YouTube and LinkedIn. I always reply to everyone, so please say hi.